In this world, there are many scary stories about toys and dolls, but what I want to share is something I actually experienced. Back when I was in elementary school, my family was very poor. Most of our toys were hand-me-downs from relatives. Older cousins, brothers and sisters would outgrow their toys, and those toys would eventually end up at our house. They were mostly old and broken, but I still had fun playing with them. Still, I dreamed of having something new. One day, my father noticed that the toy I was playing with had broken. Suddenly, he suggested buying me a new toy. I was so happy, so my parents took me and my siblings to the department store to pick out something. My older brother chose a Ninja Turtle. My sister picked out a tape recorder, and I picked a talking doll. It was one of those dolls that, once you put in batteries and press a button, would say a phrase. This doll had only one sentence: "Hello, we are friends." There were many identical box dolls on the shelf, but I specifically chose the one without a box. I don't know why though, all the dolls looked the same. This one gave me a very special feeling. I liked it right away. After buying that doll, I treasured it a lot. Every day, I played with it, talked to it, and even slept with it. But as an elementary school kid, my interests changed fast. The happiness I found in that doll didn't last long. Soon, I grew tired of it. As I got older, my world grew bigger, and my obsession with the doll slowly faded. Eventually, I no longer needed it. I just shoved it into a corner of the cabinet. Time passed, and I forgot it completely. It wasn't until I was in high school, during a big family cleanup, that I found it again. As I was sorting through things to throw away, I came across the doll. Holding it, I thought, I still have this. But to a high schooler, this outdated doll was clearly junk. So I put it into a garbage bag. Just as I was about to tie the bag, I heard the doll's voice from inside. "Hello, we are friends." I thought maybe the button got pressed by accident, so I tried to pull the doll out to remove its batteries. The instant I touched it, the voice stopped. I opened it up to check the battery compartment and I was shocked. The compartment was empty. There were no batteries inside. I was stunned by what I saw. While still in shock, the doll suddenly spoke again. No friends. So cold, so lonely." Hearing that, I was terrified. I threw the doll away in panic. My mind blank. I stared at it in disbelief. With no batteries, how could it be making noise? And why was it saying something not even in its programmed lines? At that moment, a cold breeze swept through me. Goosebumps rose all over my skin. I quickly grabbed the doll, stuffed it back into the trash bag, then took it outside to my father and asked him to burn it. That doll turned into black ash in the fire. Even though I was scared and confused then, thinking back now, maybe that doll did have some kind of spirit. Maybe I should stop chasing after new things so quickly. This was an experience that truly frightened me. Because of it, I also discovered my girlfriend's secret. And she, in turn, uncovered a secret of mine that I absolutely could not let her know. Honestly, I don't remember exactly when it started, but at some point, living together with my girlfriend felt dull. We'd settled into a routine, and the excitement was gone. She's a good person, but life with her slowly felt like it was missing something, a spark. One day during lunch at work, I sat alone in the plaza outside the office hour, eating a rice ball. On a whim, I downloaded a dating app. I didn't expect it would pull me in so deeply. After a while, no surprise, I became addicted. Among the people I chatted with, there was one woman I connected with more than the others. We had a lot in common. Through our conversations, I realized she was a good woman. She always understood what I was thinking, very empathetic. I felt she was the one. Someone truly meant for me. We clicked perfectly. We chatted for almost half a year. Every day at work, or when my girlfriend wasn't around, I would take the chance to talk with her. I don't know why, but I just sank deeper into it until I reached the point where I wanted to meet her in person. I even daydreamed if that woman were my girlfriend. Living with her might be so happy, until one day, I discovered something shocking. That day, while my girlfriend was showering, I messaged that woman, but she didn't answer. Normally she replied quickly, but today, nothing. After sending several messages in a row, I suddenly realized something was off. Every time I sent a message, my girlfriend's phone sitting on the desk in her room would vibrate in sync. At first, I thought it was a coincidence. Then I walked over to her phone and messaged the woman again, "What kind of men do you hate?" Right after I sent it, my girlfriend's phone clearly received a message. The message read, "What kind of men do you hate?" But the sender's name showed as Cheating Bastard. I was stunned. How could this be? The woman I'd been chatting with for half a year, someone I thought was just a stranger named Edeli, was actually my own girlfriend. I felt scared. She'd been quietly chatting with me online for 6 months, and I had said so many arrogant, self-important things in those chats. I even pretended we were broken up. Sometimes I sent her messages. We even talked about some sexual stuff. While I was still trying to process and couldn't believe it, I heard the shower stop. I quickly turned off my own phone, jumped onto the bed, and pretended to be asleep. I listened to her footsteps coming from the bathroom back to the room and felt her gaze fixed on me. I was nervous. Her footsteps stopped by the phone. I heard her pick up the phone and seemed to be typing a message. Then she put the phone down, went to dry her hair, and finally lay down next to me to sleep. That night, knowing this secret, I couldn't sleep at all. On one hand, I felt ashamed for the emotional betrayal. On the other, her behavior terrified and shocked me. Looking back, she had initiated the chats. I had used a real photo of myself as my profile picture, but her profile showed only a photo of lips and cleavage deliberately obscured. I couldn't understand why she did this, and I was afraid she might do something dangerous out of hatred toward me. That night, I lay in bed with my mind in chaos. Finally, morning came. I hurriedly got ready and escaped from the house. On the crowded train, I turned on my phone. Right after booting it up, I got a notification from the dating app. It was my girlfriend, replying on that same account. The message said, "I hate cheating men the most. I wish all cheating men would just die. If my boyfriend cheated on me, I'd want to kill him." Reading that, I got goosebumps all over. Sweat ran down my forehead in welcome but unavoidable. I wondered, should I even go back to that house after work tonight? My father used to serve in the Maritime Self-Defense Force. He worked on several escort ships. He once told me stories from about 30 or 40 years ago. He said working on those ships was like working in a moving haunted place. Every ship has its own legends and strange stories. He had witnessed many bizarre things. One summer night, my father was transferred to another escort ship. On his first day there, right in the thick of the night at sea, he was working his post. At shift change deep into the night, he handed over his duties and began walking alone down the narrow passageway. He was thinking, first day and I'm already so tired. There's going to be hell to pay from now on. There was a mountain of tasks tomorrow, and he just wanted to get back to bed and catch some sleep. Under the red night, minus lights glow, he saw a ladder-shaped corridor, and at its base, a soldier walking from right to left. He was so exhausted that he barely noticed the soldier. When he reached the bottom of the passage, he turned right finally at his bunk. Before climbing into bed, he pulled the curtain beside it, then crawled under the covers, ready to close his eyes and sleep. Suddenly, he thought of something strange. That soldier in the hallway didn't feel right. What was wrong? Ah, yes, the color of his uniform seemed off. Why was that soldier's uniform white? The Maritime Self-Defense Force had long since changed from white to blue uniforms. There shouldn't have been anyone wearing white. My father was puzzled, wondering if his eyes were playing tricks on him or if he was overthinking things. Just as he decided to stop dwelling on it and go to sleep, he casually glanced down at the curtain by his feet, and that's when he saw something he shouldn't have seen. He saw a soldier in a white uniform standing behind the curtain, peering at him through the gap in the fabric. My father jumped. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. The guy was still there, staring at him with piercing intensity. And now my father could see him even more clearly. At first he'd thought the red night lighting was making the white uniformed soldier's face look red. But that wasn't it at all. The man's face was bleeding. Blood covered his entire face. My father held his breath, locked in a staring contest with him. Suddenly the white uniformed soldier roared at my father. "You little punk! What are you doing? That's my bed." My father was so startled by that roar that he screamed and ran without thinking. He found the squad leader and reported what had happened. The squad leader just told him to sleep there one more night and promised to switch his bed tomorrow. My father had no choice but to grit his teeth and sleep there. Later, my father talked about this with some of the other guys on the ship. Everyone said they were used to it by now. Lots of people had encountered it. But anyone new to the ship always had to get scared by that guy once, because the new guy's bed was always in that spot. As for why there was that white uniformed soldier on the ship, my father said the escort ship had collided with a cargo vessel, and 5 men had been crushed to death in their sleep. The spot where my father had been sleeping was one of those 5. This happened 30 years ago, when I was traveling alone and encountered something I still can't understand to this day. The story goes like this. For that trip, I planned to spend a week in Kyushu. The first 2 days I'd climb a certain mountain. Then afterward I'd visit some old hot springs, wander through historic streets, and see some ancient castles. That day I got off the train and transferred to a bus heading up the mountain. When I reached my bus stop it was 3 in the afternoon. Even though it was afternoon, the sky felt somewhat dim. I started walking up the mountain from the bus stop. My plan was to stay at an inn on the mountain, then the next day have a little adventure up there before heading back down. So I followed the road uphill. After walking for about an hour, I took a break and ran into an old woman tending her vegetable garden. After chatting with the old woman for a bit, I continued upward. Before I left, she reminded me to be careful and not to get lost. I thought to myself, how could I possibly get lost following the road? Still, I didn't think much of it and kept going. After about another hour, the sun went down and everything around me grew dark. Walking in the darkness didn't feel scary exactly, but I felt a sense of loneliness. There were no houses anywhere along the way, and I didn't encounter anyone. Back then we didn't have smartphones like we do now, so I had no way of knowing if I was going in the right direction. I walked for another 30 minutes. Still no houses in sight. I started feeling a little anxious, using my flashlight to check the road as I continued forward. After a while, I encountered a little girl wearing a kimono. She had a strange leaf balanced on her head. It looked kind of cute. She came running toward me at a light jog. I greeted her and asked if there was an inn up ahead. She told me there was, and that right now lots of people were inside soaking in the hot springs. She went on to tell me that at night there was always delicious fish there, and that the proprietors always helped travelers passing through and those of us who lived on the mountain. She enthusiastically told me all about the inn. I asked her where it was. She said to keep going forward until I saw a fork in the road. Then take the right path, and I'd see it right away. After I thanked her, she smiled and ran off in the opposite direction from where I was heading. I kept walking. After who knows how long, I really did come to a fork in the road. I remembered what the little girl had said, go right. Wasn't that it? It was an upward slope. Fallen leaves had piled up so thick on the road surface that they completely covered it. It looked like not many people came this way, though I found it suspicious. I didn't think too much about it and went right. After climbing for about 3 minutes, I saw light in the distance. When I got closer, it was a building that looked like a large, old fashioned inn. Finally, I walked to the entrance, opened the door, and called out, "Excuse me, is anyone here?" After calling out for a while with no one coming to greet me, I took off my shoes and stepped up onto the floor, walking and calling out, "Is anyone here?" I thought, the lights are on. There should be people here. So how come there's not a soul in sight? I looked around inside for a while. There was a reception area, an office, but no people. After returning to the entrance, just as I was wiping my towel, a woman's voice came from behind me. "I'm sorry to have kept you waiting." I turned around, and there stood an incredibly beautiful woman. She said she was in charge here. I told her I wanted something to eat. She led me to a private dining room, and when we went in, I saw the table was already piled high with food. Though I was curious why the meal had been prepared so early. I was starving. I didn't waste time, sat down and started eating. Just like the little girl had said, there was plenty of fish, fresh and delicious. And the beer was the first time it ever tasted something so strangely wonderful. It was excellent. After I was full, the hostess introduced me to the location of the hot springs, and then took me to my room. Once I put down my luggage, I went straight to soak in the hot springs. When I entered the bathing area, I saw several kids playing happily in the water. They looked so carefree, laughing and splashing around. After soaking, I returned to my room to rest. I was utterly exhausted. The moment I lay down, sleep came quickly and deeply. I don't know how long I slept, but suddenly a chill crept over me. A biting cold breeze blew across my face and body. I snapped my eyes open and found myself lying in the middle of a clearing deep in the mountains, an old heap of dried leaves covering me. I was terrified. Sitting up, I grabbed my flashlight and shined it around. Not far from me, just beyond a clump of grass, a fox sat silently, staring at me. Nearby, a few wild boar piglets were playing. We locked eyes for a few seconds. Then the fox turned and darted into the grass, the piglets following after it, disappearing into the undergrowth. It felt surreal. Was the inn just left a hallucination? I hurriedly strapped on my luggage and left that place. Back at the crossroads, I had no choice but to head left. After about 5 minutes, I finally saw the real inn. Upon entering, the owner told me he was worried because I hadn't arrived yet. He thought something might have happened on the road. He asked if I wanted dinner. My stomach felt bloated, cold and eat. So the owner took me straight to my room. I lay down as soon as I got into the room. As I rested, my mind wandered over the strange experiences it had before arriving here, and I drifted off to sleep. The next morning, the moment I opened my eyes, a weird, fermented smell rose from my stomach as I burped, a strange scent mixed with fish. So maybe what happened yesterday was just a dream. Before leaving the inn later, I asked the owner if there were any other inns nearby. He said no, they were the only one here. But many guests claimed to have seen or stayed in another inn. Quite mysterious. Right. Hearing that from him put me at ease. At least I was the only one who visited that other inn, eaten that fish, and drunk that beer, though I never truly understood what it experienced or what that fox and those wild boars truly were. If given the chance, I would definitely want to stay there again, meet that beautiful woman, and taste that delicious food once more. This, my friend told me, was his own terrifying story. About 3 years ago, he took the tram to work every day, scrolling through news and entertainment videos on his phone as he walked. It was a habit he couldn't break. Friends and co-workers warned him to stop, but he wouldn't listen. One day, while walking and texting, a runaway car suddenly sped toward him. Distracted, he didn't notice until it was too late. He was hit head-on and broke his leg. He was rushed to the hospital, underwent surgery, and needed about 2 months to heal. When I heard the news, I rushed to see him. I was furious when I learned what had happened. I forbade him from ever walking while using his phone again. He then began a long road to recovery. During rehab, he met a young woman also recovering from a similar accident. She, too, was playing on her phone as she did her exercises. They greeted each other, and she asked, "Did you get hurt walking and using your phone?" "Too. Me too." They chatted briefly, bonding over their shared experience. After she left, a nurse patted him on the shoulder and asked, "Who were you talking to just now?" He told her about meeting the woman who had suffered the same fate, but the nurse tilted her head and said, "There's no one like that here." My friend thought the nurse must have been confused amidst all the patients and didn't dwell on it. But I wonder, was that encounter real, or something else entirely? That night, when my friend was walking down the corridor to the bathroom, he ran into the same woman he'd met during rehab. They started talking in the hallway. From then on, every time he went to rehab, he would often see her, and at night, she would sneak into his hospital room to chat with him. Because of that, talking with her became the highlight of his hospital stay. On the night before he was discharged, my friend was excited. He really wanted to share the joy of going home with that woman. But that night, she didn't come to find him. He went to sleep feeling disappointed. In the middle of the night, he was suddenly woken by a strange sound. From deep down the hallway came an odd voice, chanting some kind of spell over and over. He heard it again and again, and it grew closer, louder, inching toward his room. Terrified, he stared fixedly at his door. Then he saw a woman slowly walk to the doorway. She had blood pouring from her head, her whole body covered in blood. He held his phone tightly and muttered to herself the whole time. Trembling, my friend strained to see more clearly in the dim light and realized it was the same woman who came to talk to him every night. There she stood, right at the door, her muttering growing louder. Eventually, he made out her words, in a voice full of resentment. She kept repeating, "Don't play on your phone while walking." Just as my friend understood what she was saying, the woman suddenly opened her mouth in a scream and lunged at him. He felt a wave of danger crash over him. He gasped in fear, wanting to scream himself, but no sound came out. When the woman's hand holding the phone was just about to touch his face, he instinctively shut his eyes. When he opened them again, what part of yourself? Daylight was streaming into the room. It felt like only a few seconds had passed between closing and opening his eyes, but in reality, an entire night had vanished. He had no idea whether he had passed out or something else had happened in that time. He suspected it was just a nightmare, but he told me he knew it wasn't, because on the day he left the hospital, as he walked out, he saw an ambulance arriving, carrying someone who had been in a car accident. While watching the ambulance, he heard muttering from inside the vehicle, a woman's voice. That voice sent a shiver down his spine. Then, as the stretcher was moved from the ambulance, he saw a woman kneeling on top of the patient.